Well, ladies and gentlemen, now it is time for the Tech Talk on enabling zero trust for the enterprise of things. We have with us system engineer, Metar, Forescout Technologies UAE, Mr. Ahmed Abdelmotalab. Ahmed has 12 plus years of experience in networking and cybersecurity and has a proven background in supporting sales opportunities by developing need-based solutions while delivering training to channel partners and distributors. Let's all welcome Ahmed. Thank you so much, Ahmed, for joining us.
Thank you.
Over to you, Ahmed.
Hello, everyone. This is Ahmed Abdelmotalab, System Engineer at Forescout Technologies. Today, the modern enterprise is an enterprise of things. We are on a mission to secure the enterprise of things with active defense by identifying, segmenting, and enforcing compliance of every connected thing in real time and at scale. During the presentation, I will walk you through how Forescout solution helps and accelerate enabling non-disruptive zero trust implementation across modern enterprise environments. The digital transformation is driving the growth and adoption of IoT devices in the enterprise at unprecedented pace. IoT device growth is far beyond the growth in the traditional devices such as laptops, desktops, servers, and tablets. There are other challenges. A lot of these devices are onboarded and connected to the network by third-party business partners. So there is not enough oversight by IT departments, neither the complete knowledge of all the IoT devices on the network. And this is changing as CISOs and IT departments are being asked to ensure these devices and their associated risk is well understood by the organization to ensure the security and continuity of business operations that are being enabled by these IoT devices. In addition to that, the diversity and complexity of these devices is growing. Some of these devices are getting a lot smarter. They are becoming multi-functions. Let's take an example of what used to be a TV back in 2015. It was a Wi-Fi enabled with limited browser and a few built-in apps. Today, the TV has a complete internet browser, access to hundreds of apps with a smart hub and voice support. It can be used for video conferencing and collaboration as surveillance device for a variety of different applications. Some of these devices may have multiple embedded operating systems running for different tasks. Also, with more apps running and more open ports, the device becomes more vulnerable and potential for multiple attack vectors that leads to unauthorized access and control of the device. That's why we cannot think of IoT as something different and less risky than other devices on the network. Forescout Labs have recently released a research report on the growing number of IoT devices on corporate networks. We have identified the riskiest devices for different industries. If you want to know which devices are deemed the most risky in your industry, please follow the download link in the attachment section of this webinar or visit resources.forescout.com/enterprise of things. Now let's move on. Because the attackers are targeting this new attack surface to get access to the network and disrupt operation, as well as get access to confidential and sensitive information, IoTs are being targeted both as the objective of an attack as well as a mean to gain entry into a network and then traverse and limiting the lateral movement inside the network to more critical assets or data. You need to secure IoT not just to protect the IoT device from harm itself, but also to ensure you don't have open doorways on your network for threat actors to get in. There are many known and reported attacks of these kinds, and I'll name a few: database leakage via fish tank and hacked network via a rogue Raspberry Pi. So how do you secure IoTs? It's not enough to just monitor their activity on the network and then proactively investigate every single suspicious behavior. That would require you to double or triple your SOC staff. With traditional devices, we take a lot of proactive measures to protect them, such as patching, system hardening, security agents, and a lot of other endpoints assessment. With IoTs, you cannot take most of these proactive measures because of these devices cannot be managed and you cannot install agent on them. However, there is one silver lining. The same thing that makes these devices different from general purpose computers, their singular role or purpose in a business operation. You can also be used to secure them proactively. Users do a lot of things with general purpose computing devices on the network. That's why segmenting them into zones to control the network communication can be a difficult task. We rely heavily on application-based control access. With IoT, their singular purpose means they require access to only few specific resources on the network based on their business function. They can be proactively segmented far easier. This helps proactively protect them and reduce the likelihood of compromise, as well as the impact of compromises should they be targeted and infected by threat actors. Our platform allows you to first protect enterprise of things devices by accurately identifying, classifying, and segmenting them into trust zones using the principle of least privilege. This helps to reduce the risk of device compromise as a positive business outcome. Once you have established their allowed behavior on the network, then we help you to monitor EoT for suspicious behavior to detect and mitigate issues. Most importantly, we don't just alert you. We can take mitigation actions to help you resolve them quickly. By first segmenting enterprise of things devices into trust zones and establishing their allowed behavior, you vastly minimize the number of issues your SOC team has to investigate. You actually implement zero trust security for EoT devices. Now, let's walk through this in more details. We use over 20 passive and active techniques to discover all devices connected to your network all the time. We will see it all, whether IoT devices or other physical and virtual devices on the network that may communicate with your IoT devices, and in a single pane of glass. For networks that are sensitive and active to active scans, we can be 100% passive only, ensuring no business disruption. The bottom line here is that you have the flexibility to choose the techniques that are most relevant based on your network architecture. The information gathered from discovery is then used to auto-classify devices by function, type, operating system, and vendor and model. What powers auto-classification capabilities is that Forescout device cloud. It's a rich source of context that enables us to keep pace with IoT device growth and diversity. Our research team validates the crowdsourced intelligence before sharing it with all customers as a new device profiles. The device cloud improves auto-classification efficiency, coverage, and velocity. This classification allows you to place devices into different trust zones based on their identification and business function. Once you have classified your devices, then you can place them into different trust zones. For example, separate your conferencing and collaboration devices from your physical monitoring devices from your lab equipment. They don't need to access the same resources on the network. You can start simple and get as granular as you want over time. We then allow you to create policies to establish their allowed behavior on the network. We make this segmentation process simple via our segmentation matrix. You can visualize traffic flows between zones, create logical policies, so you don't have to create rules in each of your network enforcement tools. And then you can simulate policies to determine their impact. You can actually refine zones and policies in simulation mode before you move to enforcement. And this is one of Forescout unique differentiators. Our segmentation policy manager allows you to design and implement IoT segmentation with confidence. Once you have established allowed behavior for IoT on the network, we then monitor and mitigate the far fewer number of suspicious issues on the network. And we can take actions to mitigate risk by automatically detect and respond to MAC spoofing attempts. When, for example, an IoT is suddenly acting as a Windows endpoint. Or we can assess IoT for weak, default, or common credentials that was not changed by the administrators as new devices are added to the network. In real time, we can monitor the IoT traffic patterns to quickly identify and suspicious communication, an indication of compromise or malicious intent. We can enforce network access, containment, or isolation across heterogeneous and multi-vendor network infrastructure in order to mitigate IoT risk from vulnerable, non-compliant, and compromised devices while minimizing business disruption. And finally, we automate issue resolution and remediation workflow, leveraging bi-directional API-based orchestration with the leading security and infrastructure and operation tools. While we help secure your IoT devices, we also orchestrate the workflow with your existing tools during this process. We provide out-of-the-box integrations with leading IT security products, as well as extensible bi-directional API-based app framework for full life cycle contextual exchange and automating the response workflow for issue resolution. We do IoT security really well, but we are not giving you another siloed IoT security tool. We cover all devices on all parts of your network. The IoT devices speaks to everything else on the network. We give you the single pane of glass you need, and we orchestrate with other tools to increase the ROI to maximize the existing investment. Using Forescout iSight and iInspect in OT networks, you will be able to know what's in your network. By the iSegment, you can implement micro-segmentation without any disruption across your wide enterprise network. By using the iControl, you can enforce and automate control actions. And finally, through the iExtend, you can integrate with other security tools to orchestrate the workflow and the response. Enabling zero trust in your organization starts with identifying all the IP connected devices, their associated users, installed apps, which help you to identify the devices with the highest risks that are potential for attacks. Then we can map the data flow to help you understand the legitimate and anomalous communications. Using the device contextual information, you can logically group the devices into different zones and learn the type of communication between different devices and different network layers. That in turn help you to design your microsegmentation policies and enforce control via the underlying infrastructure from legacy switching and third-party tools such as SDN, public cloud, next-generation firewalls, and agent-based solutions across your extended enterprise assets from cloud to edge, IT, IoT, OT environments, and within OT networks to comply with your organization segmentation strategy. All of this happens in real time and continuously to achieve your organization goals, to monitor and automate the response by validating segmentation policies, detect violation, and automating the response. And finally, Forescout at a glance. We have more than 3,700 customers and the largest deployments in the market. We have the largest crowd source of device knowledge with more than 12 million, and that's one of Forescout's unique differentiators. We sold more than 80 million licensed devices, and approximately 50% of the devices we are deployed for are unmanaged and unagentable. This means we are deployed for 40 million unmanaged and unagentable devices. This actually makes us the most widely deployed solution for IoT devices. We are recognized for this by the industry experts. Forrester has recognized us as the leading vendor for zero trust IoT security. Thank you very much, and I hope the session was informative.
Absolutely, Ahmed. It was highly informative, and thank you for that. I may request you to kindly stop sharing your screen so that we both can be on the screen together. Yes, absolutely. So any concluding remarks from your side? Would you like to say something?
As I said during the presentation, we have seen a massive transformation on organizations today. Organizations today have to manage enterprise of things where everything is connected and communicate to each other. And this actually brings a lot of new challenges and security issues. And Forescout is the only solution for enterprise of things.
Thank you so much, Ahmed, for joining us and being a part of the show today. Thank you.